Hi guys, it's Maddie. For those of you who do not know me, I am 16 years old. I'm going into my junior year of high school. And this year I went on my second mission trip to Africa. So that's what this video is going to be about. I posted on my Instagram story yesterday and I just asked, would you guys want to see an Instagram live video where you guys get to ask me questions in real time and I can answer them? Or would you rather do a YouTube Q&A? And it was like 96% for a YouTube Q&A. So that's what we're doing. So I have all my questions right here. There's 37 questions. All right, let's get started. So the first one said, what was your favorite part of your trip? I would have to say my favorite part was just being with the kids all day, every day, forming those relationships with these kids. And for those of you who do not know, or you don't know who I am or what my mission trip was about, we went to a school in Uganda. It was like a boarding school, and it was really about forming relationships. It was a relationship forming trip. It wasn't about building something or doing something specific, but we just taught classes and we just really formed relationships. The second question says, what all did you do on your trip? Again, we just taught classes. A lot of teachers went with us, so a lot of people had lessons that they brought and all that kind of thing, and it was really just relationships. I mean, I consider some of these people my best friends. I've just grown so close to them. I text them all the time, or as much as I can, and you know, you really learn to love these people. The third question says, how did you specifically see God work in the time you were there? I saw God work every single day. Every single day. Whether it was a kid coming up to me and just telling me that I looked pretty, or just, you know, anything that the kids did or the teachers did, it was just love. It was just so much love, and I really think that's how I saw God work every day. It was an overwhelming feeling of love. I've never felt love like this. The fourth question says, what touched you the most while you were there? As in a specific moment, I chose to sponsor a child while I was there on my in my 4th week there. I decided I wanted to sponsor a child, and I had a child in mind. His name is Ivan. He's 7 years old, and he's in the class that is equivalent to about kindergarten, which is normal. They are very behind age. They don't line up age-wise with grades. It's not like that, and it's normal. There's 19-year-olds in 4th grade, but again, it's completely normal, and you don't think anything about it. Anyway, I decided to sponsor him. We just clicked. I loved him with all of my heart. And I brought him in to tell him that I was going to sponsor him, but he doesn't speak a ton of English, so I also grabbed his older sister to kind of translate to him what I was saying. And I told her, she's about, I would say 12 or 13. I told her, and she just starts bawling, just running up to me and hugging me, saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And she told me that it would really help her family. And then she said what I said to Ivan in Swahili. And he just runs up to me. He gets the biggest smile on his face, and he just says thank you, and he hugs me. And it just really touched me. That they were just so thankful for me paying for their school, and it really touched me. Next question said, what was the biggest struggle you faced? I would say I kind of take this as what was the most difficult part. Probably leaving. I would say leaving the kids was definitely the biggest heartbreak and the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my whole life. I stayed a few extra days while the rest of the team left, and I stayed with my team leader, Regina, who's a lot older than I am. She's a grandmother. we stayed a few extra days, so it was just me and her when we were leaving. And the kids started telling us goodbye that morning, and I mean, they were just heartbroken. They cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. They hugged us. They gave us hundreds of letters. Like, I have a whole box full of letters in my drawer right now. That was probably the biggest struggle I faced. That and just getting used to the food and getting used to everything, just getting used to life over there. Next one says, what inspired you to do your first mission trip? My first ever mission trip, I was in 5th grade and it was with my family and we went to Mexico. What inspired me to do that was probably my dad. My dad went alone to Mexico the year before with my church, and he came back and told us all this awesome stuff. I was like, I want to go. Like, I want to go to Mexico. I want to do all that. And so our whole family went the next year and I loved it. It was so awesome. When are you going back? I am going back next year. At least I'm gonna really try to. Do you recommend it? I recommend it if you feel like you are called to do mission work. Do it. Go. Just do it. I can't really recommend a mission trip. I mean, I would say, yes, it is life-changing, but if you don't feel like you're called to do mission work, then you're not called. I mean, it's no big deal. It's just like a special thing that some people feel called to do. Who do you go with? How did you first get involved? I went with a company called Love Africa. It's a pretty big company and they go to several different countries in Africa. They go to Uganda, which is where I went, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, I think a couple more. I'm not 100% sure, but I will link their website down below for you guys to go check them out. And the second part of that question was, how did you first get involved? So again, my team leader is named Regina. Her and her husband, Gary, actually knew me when I was a baby. And we just lost touch with them. My parents never talked to them after my brother was born, which was about 18 years ago. And about a year and a half ago, Thanksgiving of 2017, we ran into them at Starbucks in Myrtle Beach, which is about 4 hours away from both of our houses. We just ran into them out of nowhere. We haven't seen them in 18 years. And my parents were talking to them. I had no clue who these people were. And they just told me about how they go to Africa, because my mom still follows them on Facebook and everything. And I was like, I think that is awesome. So we invited them over to the beach house the next day. And they came and they talked to me about it. They showed me pictures and I just fell in love. I was like, I have to go. I have to. So that's what really made me want to go specifically on my trip that I went on. What was the most life-changing part? Probably just, again, the love. The love that these kids show for you is incredible. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. You know, last year was my first year going and I had no clue what to expect. They'd shown me pictures and videos, but I really didn't know what to expect. So when I got there and I was just so overwhelmed. The first time I walked into the school, all these hundreds of kids just started swarming us and I loved every second of it. I was like, I'm coming back. Like, I just knew as soon as I got off of that bus at that school, I was like, this is home. And it's life-changing to know that that's how it happened for me. The next one said, what made it life-changing? Which is, again, just the love that these kids show you and the teachers. The next one says, were you worried about getting sick? I wasn't really worried about anything, honestly. I was not scared about anything, which everyone was really surprised about. But I was not worried about a single thing. I got my shots, got my medicine and everything, and I was fine. Last year, it was perfect. I never got sick. This year, I made it about 3 weeks, and I got sick one day. I woke up at about 4 in the morning, and I kept throwing up nonstop all day long. And I was like a little worried that something was wrong, but I didn't I didn't really get too worried. And I was fine the next day, so it was fine. The next one says, what's the goal of a mission trip? I've never really understood. There's a lot of different goals to every mission trip that you see. So some of them are building a new water line. That's what I did in 5th grade. We built a new water line for the people of this community that we went to in Mexico. But I mean, the goal for my Uganda mission trip is, again, like I said earlier, just building relationships and getting closer to these people and just, you know, becoming friends with them. And that's, you know, a mission trip can have many different goals, but that was the goal for mine. Question 14 says, another favorite moment. Trying to think of like a specific thing. One thing I really love to do with the kids is going to fetch water with them. So they had to go every single day to a well. It was about 1/3 of a mile away, and down this beautiful path, absolutely stunning path. And you walk all the way down this dirt road kind of thing, and you get to the bottom, and there's huge open space, and it's a well, and you pump it, and takes forever to get all the water. But that was one of my favorite things. I went every single day to do that with them. The next question says, what did you gain from this mission trip? I gained a lot of things. I gained a lot of knowledge about just about different people, different cultures, different lifestyles. I was really opened up to a whole new life. I gained a lot of friends from this mission trip, not only the Americans that I went with, you know, the people that I went with on my team, but also the Africans. I mean, again, I text them every single day. I was just texting with a teacher earlier this morning. So I gained a lot of friends. And I gained, you know, just a whole new understanding of mission trips and life in Africa, just so many different things. I gained a lot. The next question says, how did you raise all the money? I did a ton of fundraisers. That's how I raised the money. How long did you go for, and how did you decide to go that long? I went for 5 weeks this year. Last year I went for 2.5 because it was one team. So every year Love Africa sends about 3 teams. You can go for 1 team, you can go for 2 teams. I mean, you can go for all of them. This year I wanted to go for longer. I knew that. I originally wanted to go for 3 teams, which would have been a month and a half. But since I'm a minor, I would have to travel with the same adult there that I traveled back with. And no adult wanted to stay for 3 teams. So I finally just decided to do 2, and Regina did the same amount. So we traveled back and forth together, and that's how I decided to go for that long. Just I knew I had to go for that long. I knew I wanted to be with these kids for longer, and it was the best decision I ever made. And next year I really want to go for the same amount or longer. What were you most nervous for? I wasn't really nervous for anything at all. Like, not travel time, not food. I was not nervous for anything. What were the food, sleeping, and hygiene situations? Food wasn't that bad. I lost about 15 pounds while I was there just because we don't eat a lot. It's all carbs. I don't eat meat, at least there, because I just don't like it. And water every single day. You don't get soda or anything. So it's all like grains, rice, beans, something called posho, which is just, again, grains. Trying to think. We had chips, french fries every single day. So I didn't eat a ton while I was there, so I lost a lot of weight. As for the sleeping arrangements, we had several different rooms that people slept in, and me and Regina slept in one room. It was just a regular bed, except we had a mosquito net over it because malaria is very prominent there. Hygiene. We did not have a shower or a real toilet. So the shower, the cooks boiled water for us every night. They gave us a jug of boiling water and a jug of cold water. and we just mixed it into a big like basin thing, and we brought it into one of the shower stalls, and that's how we bathed. We got a cup, so pour it on your hair, whatever. As for the toilet, we had something called a long drop. I hated it. I hated every second of using that long drop. It's just a hole in the ground. You go into this, there's like 6 stalls, go into one, it's a hole in the ground. And yeah, that's it. Travel time. Oh, okay, so like how long did it take to get there? This year we drove from my house. I live in Augusta, Georgia, by the way. We drove from Augusta to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is about a 2.5 hour drive. I got on a plane from Charlotte to Washington, D.C., which was, I think, 2 hours. I really don't remember. Then we went from Washington, D.C. to Belgium, which was 7 or 8 hours. Then we went from Belgium to a place in Africa called Burundi, and that was about 9 hours or 8 or 9 hours. We didn't get off the plane there. Some people got off and then new people got on, and then we stayed on the plane, flew again to our final destination in Uganda, to a town called Entebbe, and that was about another hour and a half. So then we got off the plane, drove to the hotel. By then it was like 2 a.m. Slept there all night, left the next morning at 8, and drove about 9 hours to our final destination, which was the school. That was how we got there, and it was about the same back. So it was a ton of travel time. What was the saddest part? Leaving. 100%. It was leaving those kids. I mean, they were just heartbroken. I was sobbing the whole time. It was horrible. Living conditions for the students. So this school, it's called Kaboris, and it takes in all refugee students. So it stands for Congo, Burundi, Rwanda, and Sudan. That's where most of the students come from. There are some from Uganda as well. And this school is in a huge refugee settlement called Chingwali. I'm not sure how many people are in this refugee settlement. I will put it right here. But it's a pretty small school compared to the other ones. It is a private school, and you can either board there or you can be a day student. So the day students, there's about 500 day students, but there's only about 120 boarding students. For the boarding students, there's a dormitory for the boys and one for the girls. Very small living quarters. The boys is very bad. The bunks are just pushed together. The boys have to crawl across all the beds to get to theirs. Some boys are sharing 2 and 3 per bed. It's awful. The boys are getting a new dorm, thank God, this November, I believe, or October. And it'll be done by the time they come back to school, which is in February. So that'll be good. And the girls is okay. But that's how the students live. The next one says, did you learn the native language? No. And then it says, what is the native language? The native language is prominently Swahili, but most of the kids speak about 4 or 5 different languages. So it just varies, but most of them do speak Swahili. Would I like to learn the native language? Absolutely. I really want to. I know a little bit, not a lot. How is the weather there? It's in the southern hemisphere where we went, so it is the opposite of what we are. So it was winter there when it was summer here. When I say winter, I do not mean it was cold. It was like 80 degrees the whole time. It was great weather actually, but it was like the end of the rainy season, so it rained like every single day for the first team I was there for. The second team I was there for, it did not rain at all, so it was great weather. But I mean, it wasn't hot, it wasn't cold, it felt great. Are you going to move there? I would like to move there. Did you have a favorite kid? I definitely had kids that I clicked more with than others. I did not really hang out with many of the younger kids, other than Ivan, of course, but I really just hung out with the older kids. There was a lot of kids my age. that went to school there, so that was good, and I really clicked with them, and they spoke really good English, so I could, communicate with them, and I just clicked with them very well. Was this your first? Were you scared? Was this my first mission trip? No. This year was my fourth. I went to Mexico, and then I went to a mission trip in Atlanta, and then last year I went to Uganda, and this year I went to Uganda, so it was my fourth time this year. Was I scared? No. What do their schools look like? It's basically a long cement building with different rooms sectioned off. The windows are just open windows, and they have like shutters on them, and they have desks, like benches with like a connected desk and a chalkboard, and they hang up signs in the rooms. It's a very cool setup. I mean, every room has a light in it because it is winter. It gets dark earlier and it gets light later. So they did have lights in there, but the electricity was very unreliable. So at any given time, the lights could go out. Could you use your phone? Yes, but we did not have any service, so we had to keep it on airplane mode. And I just used my phone to take pictures. And the kids like to play games. And yeah. How do you see the US now? I definitely see the US differently than I did before I went. I often feel guilty now that I'm back. Guilty about eating out, guilty about buying things, but yeah. What do you miss most about Africa? Definitely all my friends there. 100%. Like, I cry a lot because I miss them so much. But also just like the pace of life and the way they live. I really do miss that kind of pace. Would you ever go back? Yes, I'm going back next year, hopefully. What drew you into going? That day when Regina and Gary were just showing me those pictures at the beach house, I fell in love. I knew I had to go as soon as they left. I was like, I'm going. I told my parents right when they left. I was like, I'm going. And we called them a few weeks later, and the next month I was signed up. What would you say to other people who want to do mission trips? I would say just go for it. Don't listen to what other people have to say. Just go for it, and don't listen to other people, and just do you. I would say believe in yourself. It doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, I did it and I was 15. I went literally across the world at 15 years old, and I never expected my parents to let me do that, and they did. I would just say find a company, find a place, talk to people that have done mission trips. Talk to me, text me, DM me, whatever, and I can look into a bunch of different places for you, and I can tell you what place you might like better than another, and just do a lot of research on different places that you can go to in different companies. But yeah, just believe in yourself and you do you. Next question says, do you think you would do something with missions later in life or more permanently? I really have a heart for missions. I really love doing mission trips, and it's just in my DNA. Like, I just feel like I'm made to do mission trips. As for more permanently, I would love to live there, specifically in Uganda, and I would want to open up a secondary school for the children of Kaboris. That's like the real dream. Will that happen? I don't know. I'm praying that it will, but anything could happen. I don't really know. I would like to move there. And the last question is, what kind of animals did you see? As for the everyday life in the school grounds, we saw cattle every single day. A ton of cattle and longhorns would walk by the school gates every single day, and the kids just didn't even think anything about it, and we were so in awe. It was so crazy to us, and the kids were just like, we see this every day. But as for on the safari that I went on, I saw elephants, lions, giraffes, gazelles, and antelope, I think is what they're called, warthogs, I think that's it. Oh, hippos. No zebras. A lot of people ask if I see zebras. They're actually not in Uganda. They're in the Western Africa area, I think. I could be wrong, but yeah. That was all the questions. If you have any other questions, DM me on Instagram, Snapchat me, text me, email me, whatever you want to do. I will have all of my information links down below for all my social media networks. Just ask away if you have any more questions. Give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. I will be uploading a video of like a montage of all my videos that I actually took in Africa. It's taking me a really long time to get that together. 1, because I'm lazy, and 2, because I'm very busy and it takes a very long time. But thank you guys for watching, and let me know what other kind of videos you want to see.